evening, afternoon, whenever. I'm Mark and this is the Enchanted Wood, and welcome to a completely different format from what I've usually posted. If you're watching this on YouTube, which this is designed for, this is the first time you've seen my face. And that is because I am getting away from the AI generated videos that I have done in the past, where I sit at my computer and I write a script and I get a dramatic voice and music and images, and I produce a video about the folklore of northern trees, and that takes a lot of doing. And I get a lot of criticism, mostly from myself, that it's AI generated, simply because I don't have the equipment or the skill or nerve to actually put my face in front of a camera to do YouTube videos. And I've thought about that a lot over the last almost a year that I've been dabbling with making videos, and the whole point of the videos was and this channel was to get out and about and remember what we've lost. And I'm doing that sitting at a computer, and I thought, it's January, it's a new year, and it's the perfect time to talk about the next tree on my list, which is the birch. So I've come down to my local wooded area, local-ish, and I'm sat by the banks of a river, the River Leam, after 5 days of heavy rain. So its banks are swollen, there is just mud caked everywhere, and I came out hoping to be able to do my new format of filming birch trees. And I've come to an area where there are no birch trees, which is a great start, but I'm doing this anyway. So if you're joining me on YouTube, thank you very much. I'm Mark and this is the Enchanted Wood. If you're following this on or watching this on TikTok, which is where I usually post my videos, you've seen my face before and you will know that I'm prone to rambling. But I will, which is another reason why I do AI videos, so I can write my script and it just gets to the point and it's all dramatic and everything. But new format, new year, and it's because of the new year that I've picked the birch tree, because I thought it was very apt, with it being January. Because the birch is a pioneer, which I've mentioned on my TikTok videos before, where I've rambled as I've walked through various woods. And the birch, among all the trees that we have, is probably one of the most important. It's definitely one of our oldest friends. I just mentioned that it's a pioneer tree, and in every sense of the word it represents new beginnings. At the fall of, at the end of the last ice age, which we're still in an ice age technically, if you want to go down that route, but we're not getting into that. After the end of the last ice age, when ice retreated, birch along with willow was one of the first trees to actually take a foothold, and that was the dwarf birch along with the dwarf willow. And because of that fact, it's one of our oldest and most important friends. It allowed us to keep warm. It allowed us to forge tools. It allowed us to eat. It allowed us to build shelter. And if it wasn't for those first birch trees taking hold, after that ice retreated, our ancestors would have struggled. And because of that one tree, or that family of trees along with willow, it helped basically lay a foundation for everything that's come before it, after it rather. So in that respect, it's one of our oldest friends. It's a fast growing tree, and like I mentioned, it's a pioneer. So its seeds aren't spread by pollinators such as birds and insects. They are spread on the wind, and because of that, it grows quickly in open spaces. It's one of the first trees in any forest to appear, hence the term a pioneer tree. And probably out of all the trees that we have, it's probably one of the easiest to recognise because of its bark, which is silver and paper-like, and you will often see it peeling from the trees, and that bark can burn when it's wet. So for woodsmen and our early pioneer ancestors, being able to keep warm when it was wet is a lifesaver. So that in itself makes the birch one of our allies, and that has helped us settle and stay alive. Just simply for its bark being able to light when it is still wet. It's a fast growing tree. It's also comparable to us in lifespan, so its age is roughly between 60 and 90 years, so it very much is in line with us in its lifespan. And sorry, I was just watching birds. Oh my. Okay, so this is how professional I am, and this is why I this is why I do AI videos and not sit in front of a camera rambling. Anyway, so the birch, and because of its bark and the colour of its bark, it's often in folklore been referred to as the White Lady of the Forest. And it was used for protection for newborns. Its wood was used to, especially its roots, the roots of the birch were used to build cribs for children, and it has a protection element to it as well, and the whole spring cleaning, basils, brooms, in other words, were often made from birch, used in spring cleaning, and yeah, it's just a really, I think, important tree that often gets overlooked in the shadow, if you like, of the oak or the yew or the ash. but the birch has always stood alongside us, I think, as a kind of very unspoken or unpraised hero. She just sits there and is helpful. Also, there's another reason for this video, this new format, is it's representation of new beginnings. Often birch will be one of those first trees that will appear after forest fires, before pines, and it sets the stage for those pines and the oaks and the slow growing trees to actually then get a foothold. It enriches the soil, and it also has a very symbiotic relationship with its environment, in that a lot of mushrooms will grow under birch trees, fly agaric being one of them, but then there's also like edible mushrooms, so as a food source for our early ancestors, it was quite important, in that if you found an elm, a birch rather, it's because I'm surrounded by elm trees. If you found a birch, you were like, you knew that there would be food there, because of the mushrooms that are associated with growing under it. So it was quite an easy food source to be able to gravitate towards. And yeah, it enriches and actually neutralizes the soil to help balance its pH, so that then other trees such as the oak can actually take a foothold. And it's not a mighty tree like the oak. It's quite short, actually. I mean, the dwarf. There are 4 genus of birch. The first to appear was the dwarf birch, along with the dwarf willow, after the ice age receded. The dwarf willow grows to only 6 inches. The dwarf birch, they can appear more like shrubs, and they're actually quite endangered now, I think, the dwarf birch, and it tends to like a much colder climate than its cousins, like the silver birch, and it likes like I say, it likes a colder environment, so you tend to see it now. It's mostly at the Scottish Highlands, so when you're in the Cairngorms and all that kind of thing, if you see that's more of the environment of the dwarf birch these days. And there is an argument that I don't know what your stance would be on global warming. Is it a myth? Is it not? Is it just the Earth's natural cycle? Have we just set up our shop in places where we shouldn't have, and now we suffer the consequences of Mother Nature, of being in the wrong place because of how much we've changed things? Like, for instance, I'm sat at the River Leam, on the banks of the River Leam, and I was planning on walking to find birch, and I can't because of the floodplains. And if you're going to build something on a floodplain, then you're asking to be flooded. Anyway, I've got sidetracked. See, this is why I don't do these types of videos. But where was I? I've completely forgotten, because I get sidetracked. Anyway, the birch, yeah. So yeah, the dwarf birch now, it's a mountain tree. as far as the UK goes. I think predominantly in the wild. But its cousin, the silver birch, she's really common. And how many of you walk past one and not actually realised how important she actually was to us in the past? She, like I say, heralds in folklore new beginnings and cleansing, and she's also one of the earliest trees to come out of her winter cycle in mid-February, mid to late February. She starts produce, her sap starts to flow again, and it's often quite traditional to you can actually drink birch sap, which again is meant to be purifying, and there are customs of tapping a birch in February to drink the sap as a form of reinvigorating and cleaning out, purification. So she has that aspect to her as well. And there are certain folk tales as well regarding the birch, of her being the lady of the forest, associated with the north of England and the Midlands, where I am now. And she's kind of an unspoken hero. She's not big, she's not grand, but she is actually quite beautiful. Where I'm surrounded by elm at the moment, which is now grey and looking quite lifeless. The birch is a glimmer of light when you're walking through. You know, you're deep in a forest, which we don't really have forests, like we used to. So much of our forest has gone. But if you can imagine in the depths of winter, which we're just coming out of now, where it's dark, it's cold, and all life seems to have gone, and or is asleep, and you come across a silver tree when everything around you is dull. She stands out like a beacon, and kind of a reminder that new beginnings are possible, and life goes on. And after the old year, especially, this is on a personal note now, the end of last year was quite hard for lots of reasons, and I've been kind of hibernating myself over the last few months, and we have a birch in the garden, and I've been looking out of the window, the kitchen window, and looking at this birch swaying, and she's kind of reminded me that new beginnings are possible, and that life goes on, and there is always a light. So those lessons, I say these a lot in my previous videos. Trees offer us so many lessons that we've forgotten, just by being what they are. And the birch has actually just reminded me that there's always a light, and there's always a beginning, and she lights that spark when its light is at its darkest. You can rely on her to bring you warmth. You can rely on her to bring you food. You can rely on her to help you when all seems at its darkest. And that's why I've now switched to this format of sitting in front of a camera in a wood, making a fool of myself. So that is my little take on the birch tree. If you've liked this new format that's got completely away from the AI, and you don't mind sitting and watching or listening to some middle-aged random guy sat in a wood waffling about trees, please like, subscribe, and give any comments, because I'm new to this, and the feedback would be great. Anyway, that's 20 minutes of me rambling about the birch tree, and I haven't even scratched the surface. And I'm sure an AI generated video with my script would have been a lot more informative, but like I say, it's not about, it's about getting out, it's about rediscovering what we've forgotten, and it's about being amongst these things. And without these, our world wouldn't exist, our way of life wouldn't exist. The oil that we so much depend on, that built everything, if it wasn't for these things, we wouldn't have that. And from the simplest thing, just the birch teaches us, or has given us, from being one of those pioneers, being one of those first to take root in a land after ice had it locked away. The birch was there for us, and she has helped us forge the world that we have today. So the next time you see the Silver Lady, maybe the thought will enter your head that if it wasn't for that tiny first birch that took hold on the wind after that ice retreated, none of this would have been possible. None of it. Anyway, my name's Mark. This has been the Enchanted Wood, and what does the AI say? Stay enchanted. Until next time.